Hey guys, welcome back to Home Theater Gurus. So today we're going to be looking at a product from Crowson Technologies, which I love tactile transducers. I don't care how much bass you have, how many subwoofers you have. If you don't have tactile transducers, you're missing out. That's the way I feel about it. A lot of people don't understand what they give you, so they think that all you need are more subs, or if you have enough subwoofer output that you don't need transducers. And if that's what you're thinking, you're missing the point. They're going to give you a tactile response at any volume level. With subwoofers, you have to energize or pressurize the room enough to get a believable kick. To, John Wick, the sledgehammer hitting the concrete in, the first one, or gunshots or kicks. For you to really feel it, you've got to pressurize that room. And if you've got some nulls or you've got some issues going on in your room that maybe you couldn't fix, or you're not sitting where you should optimally, your subwoofers maybe they aren't aligned perfectly, various reasons where you could have a lack of kick. And even if they're perfect, you're still gonna have issues with, you've got to crank the system to feel it. I mean, point blank, you've got to pressurize that room. Besides that, the lower frequencies they really beat the snot out of the room. When you crank it up, the wall starts shaking, pictures on the wall are rattling, the doors vibrating violently. That's room distortion. Okay, so that takes you out of the movie. Yeah, it's cool, and it's a hobby, so there's no right or wrong, but the fact of the matter is the room is now calling attention to itself. We don't want that, and that's where these tactile transducers really shine. They give you another dimension, basically. I mean, it's so tactile. Once you have them and have them dialed in properly, a lot of people think they're gimmicky, but that's poor setup. They've got them cranked too hot. They're not time aligned with the subs properly. There's setup issues, and that's what's wrong. Ideally, if set up properly, you won't even know they're there. I mean, you'll know they're there whenever there's a gunshot and you physically feel it. And maybe the system's not even cranked to stupid levels, but you feel it, or something jumps out, from behind you, and you feel that and scares the crap out of you. It's a much more engaging experience versus just having subwoofers, and they extend so low. Something like these bad boys here, they're very linear and reach much lower than like a cheaper tactile transducer. Cheap ones are great. I would definitely choose to have a cheap transducer like the Dayton BTS ones. I've had those, they're great. They're a lot of fun. I would rather have that than none at all. But something like this is going to extend very low, so maybe you don't want to beat the snot out of the room, but you still want to feel that lower bass. We don't really hear much below 20 hertz. That's where something like this really takes over and can knock your socks off, because you don't have to live with beating the room up to get that experience below 20 hertz. These can take over where your subs, you can roll those subs off purposely, even, make them roll off below 20 hertz, and these are going to pick up the slack and do a much better job at it because you don't have the room distortion. And some people do like near field subs, but when you add near field subs, again, you have to pressurize the room, but it happens much quicker because they're so close to you if they're right behind your seats. But you have to keep in mind that when we place subs around a room, usually we use a room mode calculator, or we should. They're specifically placed to fix room mode, so we have a similar seat-to-seat response. When we start throwing another source of bass or another sub just anywhere in the room, so all the seats may have had great bass that was similar. You go and throw a sub behind your seating or a couple subs back there. Now you've kind of ruined the experience for everyone else because you've caused some issues in that room, because now you have these sources of bass that aren't ideally placed. All right, so enough gibberish. Let's go ahead and open these up. Again, this is the level 3 motion system. We have 4 Shadow 8 actuators. The actuators, now these are different. These are actuators, not really tactile transducers, where most of them are like a sub motor or a sub coil that's attached to the base of your seat. You put it like on the seat back, where you're sitting. It's usually a wood box. You'll just mount it right there, and they shake your seat. So you'll wire them like subs. You can even use subwoofer amplifiers to power them. These are different in that they are actuators, so they actually lift up and down. Your seats are going to go on top of them, and it's supposed to be a much more natural and really pretty much the top dog as far as this technology or this type of thing goes. All right, so let's go ahead and open the box and see what we've got. Now with this kit, the level 3 motion kit, we're gonna have 4 of the actuators and 4 sorbothane motion isolators. Now, from my understanding, it's like a type of rubber that can isolate the seat from the floor very well. So we've got enough for one of these per chair. So we're gonna have one actuator per chair, and then the other points where the seats are gonna be touching the floor, we're gonna have these isolators so that basically we want the chair to float. We do not want it to be solidly mounted to anything if it can more easily move our seats. And I'm gonna have an installation video on how to install these on seats like we have Valencia Tuscanys, we're gonna be putting these on. But Seatcraft, HT Market, we've had those as well. You know, they're all pretty much the same, at least on the bottoms. Owner's guide can be found at CrowsonTechnology.com. Manuals. All right. Now, I did already take this one out of the box. Okay, I got excited. It was inside this little felt-looking sleeve. They're very, very well packed. So there's one of them here. And you can kind of squeeze it. I think I'll bring it up there. See if you guys can see that. So you can kind of squeeze it so the black part is separate. So this part's gonna go on the ground. And the foot of your chair is gonna go here. And this part right here can lift up and down. You've got your terminal connections right there. You know, just standard speaker terminals. You've got, of course, your negative and your positive. So that looks pretty simple. This is one of the isolators I was telling you guys about. There's 4 of them. I ordered 8 more, so I have a total of 12 just to make sure I have plenty of these. The owner of the company did stress on how important it is to use a product like this or this material. Oh gosh, yeah. So you can see the difference here. There we go, let it focus. See how squishy that is? So this is definitely not like a dense rubber. It's very, very soft. So I can see where this would really isolate the floor and let the chair move independently of the floor. All right, so it does come with a screw right there. All right, so you're gonna take the screw and you're gonna drop it in there. And you're gonna screw that to your wood or whatever, you know, if you have wood-based seats, or we're gonna be using a 1x4. And then this right here will sit on the floor. So you see the screw is not even connected from one to the other. It's completely separated. And I guess you don't even have to use that plastic cap if you don't want to, but we're gonna need it to be the same depth or as tall as the actuators here. You can see right there, we are gonna have to use the bottom and cap on there to make sure it's the same height. And that is threaded in there. It tells you on the, printed it out what thread pattern that is. So you could take a screw to bolt this or you know, directly to your seating. So there's a couple different ways that you can mount these. Now you can order all this stuff separately on the website, but of course I've got one of the whole kits here. There's 2 different kits. There's the Motion Level 2, and if you ordered that, you would get just one of these boxes, 2 of the shadow actuators. They call them shadow actuators, but 2 actuators, and you would get 2 of the sorbethane isolators. So of course I've got the level 3, so I just get 2 boxes. So you're gonna have 4 actuators and 4 sorbethane, I hope I'm saying that right, isolators. All right, like I said, I did order some extra isolators, and there's 8 more right here. That's just in case. Now, those little suckers are not cheap. And I actually looked them up on Amazon, because you can get them on Amazon, but there's different densities. So I was kind of nervous about just ordering something on Amazon, not knowing the proper density, because you don't want to spend this kind of money and do anything that's going to hurt your performance. So it was a little bit more. I mean, they're expensive on Amazon. They really are. I guess the material's just not cheap. And this here is the D601 Tactile Motion Amplifier. You can use a subwoofer amp, but this is what Crowson recommends for their actuators. So it's got rack ears, and it's gonna look nice. It's got some functions on the front of it to make it easy. See, we've got a little manual, important safety instructions. Owner's guide, same thing. It says for the actuators, you can go online and find them. Got a little box right here. Let's see what's in here. Rack ears. So we're definitely gonna be using those to mount it into the rack. I'm gonna hold on to that. Got our power cord. And we've got a nice little remote here. That's pretty cool. All right, we have power, we have mute. We have volume up, volume down, music and movies. Man, this is a solid amp. This sucker's kind of heavy. Okay. Again, just like everything else, it's got the nice little fabric sock. I would give that to my kids. I'm sure they'll do something with it. And this is a very solid amp. I mean, this is probably, it's got to be 20 pounds, 25 pounds. So on the front of it here, we've got a power button. We have a modes button, which selects between music and movies. We also have intensity, which of course intensity is just going to be basically a volume for our transducers to adjust the amount of force they have. So we can also do that from our remote. The remote calls it volume up and down, but that's what it's adjusting, is intensity. In the past, what I've noticed for intensity, personally for me, I'm a set it and forget it kind of guy. Once I get them tuned just right, I get them feeling natural. I mean, I'm pretty much done. I don't tweak much, but that's because I get my system set up right. You know, they got like the Anthem video and how to tune, you know, your room with Anthem, and the same thing with the subwoofer videos. If you set it up right, you're gonna find you're not tweaking all the time. So I'm big about that. I enjoy. I set it up right, and then I don't obsess over it, and I can just enjoy the system. And that's what I like to do. I like to kick back in it. The hobby for me is not, I don't obsess over it. I enjoy it. So I like to just get it right, get it done right the first time. So, you know, but it is pretty cool that you can kind of tweak it. Now on the back of this thing, we've got a left and a right. You also have an LFE. So the LFE is where we're gonna plug our subwoofer from the output of our mini DSP or our AVR, whatever we're using. And we're gonna plug that into the LFE input on the back of this amp. Then over to the right, we've got a crossover that goes from 40 to 160. I like to set it around 55, somewhere around there. Do not want your vocals getting into the tactile transducer, so you don't want to jack it all the way up. Next over, we have a phase 0 and 180. And we've got power modes. We've got on, auto, trigger. I'll probably use auto. When it gets a signal on that LFE input, it's gonna automatically turn it on. But you've also got a trigger, and then you've got control. I'll have to look and see what that control is. So in the updated video, I'll tell you what it is, or heck, I'll drop a bubble right here to kind of, after I look it up and tell you what that is. So then we have our outputs going to the transducers. This is a 2-channel amp. Now you can run multiples off of one. All right, and over to the right, we've got a voltage selector. You see it's a 110, it has a little glass over to keep you from switching it over to 220. Because I'm sure if you did that, switched it over to 220 and plugged 110 in it, you may let the smoke out, and we do not want to do that. Then over from there, we have a master power on and off. And then you've got your power plug. And underneath that plug, you can kind of see like a little cover with some writing on it. That is most likely going to be a fuse. All right, guys, so that is an unboxing and overview of what you're going to get with the level 3 motion system from Crowson. I will be installing this hopefully this weekend, so just in a few days. It may take me a little while to get the video out because I also have to do one. I have a timing reference I made to align the timing of the actuators to your subs to make it very easy. And then just kind of give you some tips on setting up to make it feel natural. So you guys want to be watching out for that one. Even if you don't have this brand of transducer, you're using any, you know, they all need to be aligned. They all need to be in time, so the procedures are going to work for anything out there. Any actuators or tactile transducers that you happen to be using. And again, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell. It's right down there. If you guys have any questions that you want answered in upcoming videos, drop them down in the comments below. If they're good questions that other people are gonna wanna know, then it's worth me making a video about it. So please leave your questions down in the comments section. And that's gonna be it for this one, guys. I'll see y'all for the next one.